I reckon let's maybe talk about what maybe are some tips. Not that we're, amazing wise men of, sent to earth to deliver divine advice. But like following up from that hierarchy system, which like myself and like young people can implement.
Yeah.
What are some other like sort of good points? Maybe we can just brainstorm now on motivation in terms of what's the way to go. I mean, the one that we touched on before and we've done an episode on it is goals. That sort of helps. That helps with that drive and that motivation.
Well, my tips, just off the top of my head, I was going to make notes on this. And that's usually what I do with most episodes that we do. I like structure it somewhat so I know what we're talking about. But I didn't do that because I think I've got enough, bouncing around, in my brain.
Go for it. Fire away.
Yeah, just off the top of my head, honestly, I've touched on most of it already. Is one, as you said, set goals. Big, small, anything. It could, just something that you can use to move towards. Jordan Peterson talks about a study, and he wrote about that. I don't know if he wrote about it in one of his books, but he talks about how mice had, when they were placed in a maze and they had cheese at the other end of the maze, they obviously followed the scent of the cheese and then they eventually found it. But when the scent of cat hair was introduced, which mice and rats just hate, even if they've never like smelt cat hair before, just something in their primal, senses just knows that cat hair is just,
bad,
indicative of danger. And so as soon as they introduce cat hair, the scent of cat hair into the maze, they find that cheese like 1,000 times faster. And so something that you have to consider is having something to run towards, but also something to run away from. And, that might be poverty. That's if that's barking at your door, then that's something that you've got to, that motivates you. Fear motivates you.
Yep.
I mean, if there's a bear chasing after you, you're going to, procrastinate running away, or are you going to, that's a bad example.
Yeah.
You can't run away from a bear.
You're gonna be motivated to run.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, that's right. Yeah. I was just gonna what was I gonna say? Yeah, sorry, I've just blanked. On what? No, that's all good. Go back to what.
So about like you've got your something to run towards, and you've got something to run away from.
Yep.
So was that something?
No, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, like safety can sometimes kill motivation, right?
Yeah,
like having that feeling like that you're going to be all right. Even if you fail, that's sometimes a bit dangerous. I mean, it's good to be safe, but sometimes pushing comfort zone comes up again. Comfort zone, which we've done an episode on previously, that comes into play as well. You can sort of stepping out that comfort zone can sort of be that snowball effect to develop that drive.
Yeah,
can be super important.
Yeah,
and you get there through your goals.
Tom Bilyeu was his wife rather was talking about how she, as she was supporting her husband as he was developing all these companies, and now he's like a billionaire. He's like ultra uber successful, and he's got a cool podcast as well if you haven't checked that out. But she was basically saying that when they were taking big financial risks, putting investments towards companies and things like that, she had to lay out all of the worst case scenarios. It's like a worst case scenario, okay, they go financially bankrupt, Then she said, well, I'm not going to go homeless because I've got family and friends that can support me if that really happens. So I'm not going to be on the street. So that's one thing. And then she laid them all out. And it's like the worst case scenario it definitely sucks. Like, let's be real, it sucks. But that's something to run away from. And the worst case scenario still isn't like, a bullet to the head. It's something that is survivable. So I think that's important as well. If you're going to be taking risks, lay out a plan for success, a strategy for attaining that success, and a contingency for potential failures. I think that's just a no-brainer, to be honest. But getting back to what you were saying in terms of like tips and things like that, that was number one. Introduce something to run towards, introduce something to run away from, set out a plan for those things. Number two, I'd say, I was talking about supplementing with motivation. It can be something as simple as going on Instagram or YouTube or finding people that you would generally like to emulate, people that you inspire you. It could be The Rock. It could be some, I don't know, pick an industry that you're interested in. And, you know, whoever's the leading figure in that industry.
Like
and
role models, yeah.
Role models, you know, find someone. It could be your dad. It could be your friend. It could be a teacher. It could be anyone. So I'd say that's the next big thing. Supplement with motivation and drive by, and again, they're not the same thing. They're two different things. But by surrounding yourself, at least mentally, with people that inspire you. And the third thing is surround yourself physically with people that inspire you. I've got certain coaches that really, really inspire me, and I see them all the time. And it's like, man, like your technique and your drive and your ability to articulate and these things is just so, you know, beyond me, and that's why you're such a good coach. And their willingness to help out other people. That's a really big thing for me. That's like leadership traits are massive. Then I've got other friends that constantly inspire me. I see them succeeding. And I was talking to you the other day actually about the 33% rule.
33% rule. Yeah.
So basically 33% of people should be people that inspire you, that can pull you up. 33% of people should be people that are sort of at the same level as you, so you can bounce things off and you can work things through together. And 33% of people that you choose to surround yourself by should be people that you can mentor, that aren't quite at your level yet. I mean, that's hard to do, but be conscientious of the people that you choose to surround yourself with, because the common saying, which is extremely true, you are what you eat, but you are, you know,
surround yourself by
who you surround yourself by. I like the saying, you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with.
Yeah, I like that one. That's really interesting.
And it's true. Like I know, like, this is the most powerful anecdote I can probably speak for on a personal level, is when I was hanging out with losers, I was a loser. Like, seriously. When I started hanging out with people that inspire me, my life just, you know, my mental state changed. I wasn't as depressed. I wasn't as anxious anymore. It's so important to hang out with people that actually genuinely inspire you. And yeah, I'm sure those loser friends that I had, they were very nice people. Like, they were great guys. They were friendly. They were good to have a laugh with. Yeah. You know, you could throw banter around and stuff like that, but they weren't, you know, getting me anywhere. And so I'd say that's the biggest thing.
Just being wary of sort of the environment that you're in, and whether that's, you know, providing you, you know, a space where you can develop yourself. Yeah. And, you know, establishing that sort of motivation, that drive.
And the last thing I'd say would be to do things like this, is literally to have these deep conversations. If you can't squeeze some creative conversation out of some of your friends, even the friends that you think are inspirational, set down a time to have those, you know, go out for coffee with them. And I know obviously at the moment that's hard to do with restrictions and whatnot, and you've got to be careful, but set up a Zoom meeting, set up a freaking podcast, because you never know, you know, what's bouncing around people's brains until you sit down and you know, extract it from them. Yeah. And when you in a scenario where you can articulate your own positions on things, you never know what you have to say about anything. And so these are answers that I'm giving, but this is me thinking at the same time. You know, I wouldn't have had this conversation, I wouldn't have had these thoughts unless I'd been provoked to talk about them. So this is a thought process right now.
And just like you said, like, you didn't write any of these down. So it's
this is literally off the top of my head.
It's just a matter of us just like sort of talking about it. And
so I'm learning.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I'd recommend. So what about you? You've got some tips. Obviously, you've been in a bit of a rut as I have lately. Yep. So you've got some strategies.
The main thing that I'm sort of discovering and learning for myself, and that you can implement as well. It's not necessarily like a practical thing that you can actually do, but just have the attitude that when you do fail, that's okay.
Yeah.
Not that it's a good thing, but what I mean is, and I did touch about it before, I think in the first segment, about how it's more important about how we bounce back from the negative things. And like we were saying before, how like sometimes I can get into ruts You know, even just with simple things like failing my like a schedule for a day or something. You know, losing my schedule for a day. Sometimes you can find yourself just like for the next week, you're just aimless. You know, and you don't have any purpose and motivation to do anything. But be okay with that failure and understanding that you are human. And it sounds cliche and it gets said a lot, but it's so true. And we see like you were saying before about how like you can go onto YouTube and search for motivation stuff. These motivation videos have millions of views, which says something about the human population.
It might seem cheesy. It's like, oh, I'm watching a motivational video.
Yep.
It might be even spoken word poetry. If that's what gets you going, like seriously, just do it. Who cares about what people think? As you said before, it's okay to fail because it's inevitable when you're going for something. It's inevitable.
That's right.
If there's no risk of failure, it's not worth doing.
Exactly.
That's my thing.
Yeah.
And I'd rather surround myself with people that are constantly failing but trying than people who are in a safe place that have never failed at all. It's like, I don't know. There's just something about experience and failure that comes with it. I mean, Thomas Edison, you know, what's the quote? What was it? He tried to invent the light bulb 999 times, and on the 1000th time, he invented it. So he didn't say I've failed 999 times. So he said I found 999 ways not to do it, or it was like some absurd number, 10,000 or 1,000,000 or something. But it doesn't matter, you know. It's not failure; it's experience. It's a learning curve.
It's a learning curve. That's exactly right. Yeah, totally.
But it sucks. I mean, it hurts. But I think you've got to hurt, and I think you've got to, you've got to take those punches sometimes
and use that as take that. Look at it in a positive light. When you do take a punch like that, take it in a positive light. That's right.
You get back up. As old mate Rocky Balboa would say, it's
so
not
true,
how hard
though,
you can hit, it's how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward.
Yeah.